In a solemn address on Tuesday, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer pledged to leave no stone unturned in uncovering the systemic failures that contributed to the tragic killings of 3 young girls during a Taylor Swift-themed event. Acknowledging the gravity of the case, Starmer indicated that the investigation could potentially lead to a re-evaluation of existing terrorism legislation. This incident has not only shaken the nation, but has also reignited debates about the efficacy of counter-radicalization initiatives and the adequacy of current legal frameworks in addressing emerging threats. The Prime Minister defended his government's earlier decision to withhold extensive details about the British teenager responsible for the murders, emphasizing the importance of preserving the integrity of the judicial process. Starmer insisted that revealing too much information prematurely could have jeopardized the case or undermined the possibility of securing a conviction. However, he admitted that significant failings had occurred within the system, failings that allowed the perpetrator to carry out these heinous acts despite warning signs. The case took a startling turn on Monday when 18-year-old Axel Rudakabana unexpectedly pleaded guilty to the murders of B.B. King, aged 6, Elsie Stankham, aged 7, and Alice Da Silva Aguiar, aged 9. The killings, which occurred in July in the English coastal town of Southport, sent shockwaves across the UK, with the public demanding accountability and answers. Rudakabana also admitted to producing the deadly toxin ricin and possessing an Al-Qaeda training manual, further complicating the case and raising questions about the nature of his motivations. Shortly after the guilty plea, the government disclosed that Rudakabana had been referred to PREVENT, the UK's counter-radicalization program, on 3 separate occasions. However, no meaningful action was taken to address his behavior or intervene in his trajectory toward violence. This revelation has sparked widespread criticism of PREVENT, with many questioning its effectiveness and ability to identify and mitigate threats. While police have stated that no clear ideological motive has been uncovered, and that the case is not being treated as an act of terrorism, the disturbing combination of ricin production and possession of extremist materials has led to calls for a deeper investigation into whether existing frameworks are sufficient to tackle such complex cases. The Southport killings have left an indelible mark on the community, transforming what should have been a joyful gathering into a scene of unthinkable horror. The event, themed around the music of Taylor Swift, was intended to bring families together in a celebration of art and creativity. Instead, it became the backdrop for a crime that has devastated families, traumatized witnesses, and left the nation grappling with difficult questions about how such an atrocity could occur. B.B. King, Elsie Stankham, and Alice Da Silva Aguiar were all young girls with their entire lives ahead of them. Their senseless deaths have not only highlighted vulnerabilities within the UK's counter-radicalization and public safety systems, but have also underscored the profound human cost of systemic failings. The community in Southport has come together to mourn the loss of these innocent lives, holding vigils and creating memorials to honor the victims. However, grief has been accompanied by an overwhelming demand for accountability and change. Axel Rudakabana, the 18-year-old perpetrator, has emerged as a deeply troubling figure in this case. Despite his young age, Rudakabana's actions reveal a disturbing level of planning and intent. His guilty plea to not only the murders but also the production of ricin, a highly toxic substance, and possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual raises alarming questions about his motivations and the extent of his radicalization. The government's revelation that Rudakabana had been referred to PREVENT on 3 occasions has amplified scrutiny of the program. PREVENT, part of the UK's broader counter-terrorism strategy, is designed to identify individuals at risk of radicalization and provide interventions to steer them away from violent ideologies. However, critics have long argued that the program is under-resourced, lacks transparency, and disproportionately targets certain communities. In Rudakabana's case, the failure to act decisively after multiple referrals has been described as a catastrophic oversight. While police have stated that no single ideology has been identified as the driving force behind Rudakabana's actions, the combination of his possession of extremist materials and his production of ricin suggests a complex and multifaceted threat profile. This ambiguity has further complicated public discourse around the case, with some arguing that it highlights the need for a more nuanced understanding of radicalization and violence in the modern era. The PREVENT program has faced intense criticism in the wake of the Southport killings. Established in 2006, Prevent aims to safeguard individuals from being drawn into terrorism by offering support and addressing underlying vulnerabilities. However, the program has been controversial from its inception, with accusations of racial profiling, lack of accountability, and insufficient funding undermining its credibility. Ruta Cabana's case has reignited these debates, with many questioning how an individual referred to prevent 3 times could slip through the cracks. Was it a failure of communication, a lack of resources, or an inherent flaw in the program's design? These questions are now at the heart of the government's promised inquiry, with Starmer vowing to investigate every aspect of the case to ensure that such a tragedy is never repeated. The Southport case has far-reaching implications for the UK's approach to counter-terrorism and public safety. While police have not classified the killings as an act of terrorism, the elements of the case, particularly Ruta Cabana's possession of an Al-Qaeda training manual and his production of ricin, have blurred the lines between terrorism and other forms of violence. This ambiguity has highlighted potential gaps in existing legislation. Current terrorism laws are designed to address clear ideological threats, such as those posed by groups like ISIS or far-right extremists. However, the Southport case suggests that emerging threats may not fit neatly into these categories. As a result, there is growing pressure on the government to reassess its legal frameworks and ensure that they are equipped to address the complexities of modern threats. In the aftermath of the Southport killings, public outrage has been palpable. Across the country, people are demanding answers and accountability from those in power. How could such a tragedy occur despite multiple warnings? How can similar incidents be prevented in the future? These questions have dominated public discourse, with many calling for a complete overhaul of the UK's counter-terrorism and public safety systems. Prime Minister Starmer has sought to reassure the public by promising a thorough investigation and potential reforms. However, he faces significant challenges in restoring confidence in the system. The inquiry must not only identify what went wrong in Ruta Cabana's case, but also address the broader systemic issues that have allowed similar failures to occur in the past. The Southport killings have exposed deep flaws in the UK's approach to counter-radicalization and public safety. As the nation mourns the loss of 3 innocent lives, it is clear that significant changes are needed to prevent such tragedies in the future. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's commitment to a comprehensive inquiry is an important first step, but it must be followed by meaningful action and reform. At the heart of this tragedy lies a sobering reminder of the human cost of systemic failings. B.B. King, Elsie Stankham, and Alice da Silva Aguiar deserved better from the systems designed to protect them. As the nation grapples with the aftermath of this horrific crime, their memory serves as a powerful call to action, a call to ensure that no stone is left unturned in the pursuit of justice and safety for all. The case of Axel Ruta Cabana is not just a story of individual failure, it is a story of systemic breakdown. It is a story that demands accountability, reform, and a renewed commitment to safeguarding the most vulnerable members of society. For the families of the victims, for the community of Southport, and for the nation as a whole, the road to healing is long. But with determination, transparency, and meaningful change, it is a road that can lead to a safer and more just future.